Let it be me. This is not a fighting song. Let it be me. Not a wrong for a wrong. Let it be me. If the world is light, shine my life like a light.
Over a century ago, abolitionists in America fought against slavery. Today, it is hard for us to imagine their struggle. Hard for us to imagine how one human being could own another. Despite our own history of slavery in this country, it is impossible for us to believe that slavery could still exist in our world, and yet it does. In Africa, in the country of Sudan, slavery has reemerged as an instrument of war. UNICEF estimates that thousands of southern Sudanese have been captured by their enemies in the north and sold into a life of servitude and abuse. In this Visionaries episode, we are going to take you into Sudan's war zone, where you will meet volunteers from the Swiss nonprofit organization Christian Solidarity International. They are fighting slavery, and to do it, they travel into Sudan illegally, buy slaves, and set them free.
Sudan is a very beautiful land. The trees are lovely, you hear the birds singing. And the wildlife is absolutely fantastic. Sudan could be a land of milk and honey, but instead it is one of the world's greatest human rights disaster zones.
Well, slavery is not just a crime of the past, it's a crime of the present. And here in Sudan, we see with our own eyes, we hear with our own ears the sufferings of the people, and we call upon the international community to bring a stop to it now.
Christian Solidarity International has been to Sudan more than 20 times. And during these visits, we have discovered that slavery exists in the country here, and we are committed to end slavery in Sudan.
Blame Oscar Victor 1020.
Our journey is taking us into northern Bahr el-Ghazal. Bahr el-Ghazal is on the border between northern and southern Sudan. The horror happening here is unimaginable, worse than in any other part of the country. This is where slaves are being captured and where people are starving.
Well, Sudan is the biggest country in Africa, and it is in the middle of one of the longest wars this century. This war has been going on for 40 years now. Just as we arrived here, we heard of another terrible twist in this war, and this is the displacement of hundreds of thousands of people.
As we set out on this mission, we've entered a rapidly changing situation. For the moment, there is peace, but there is war raging around us. We don't know what will happen here. 300,000 people have been displaced by the government's latest attack.
When the raiders came, they started burning down homes. They killed the older people and captured the women and the children. They even captured 2 of my children.
And then what happened to you, Rose? Were you caught and tied yourself?
My ankles were tied together with a chain. After they captured me, I was tied under the horse, and they dragged me along the ground behind the horse.
CSI is interested in defending human rights all around the world, but what we do is we specialize in going to areas that are no-go areas, prohibited areas.
We have focused mainly on Sudan in recent years because of the magnitude of the crisis here. Over 1.9 million people dead, over 5 million displaced. There is a terrible situation here, and the international community has largely left these people on their own. In order to help free people who have been taken into slavery, we have to make a long, hard journey to meet the trader. We must walk in 100-degree heat for more than 3 hours, knowing there is the possibility of attack every step of the way. I think about my family at home in peace in Switzerland, and I ask myself, what on earth am I doing here, risking my life? That question is answered when we arrive and find the trader coming with 176 slaves. Every one of the people in this long line is a slave. Every one of them has been terribly abused. It is incredible to me to be here to witness this and to know that we are here and in a position to free them. Abouk Kwol is 11 years old, and she was a slave. She has the visible scars of beatings on her chest and other parts of her body. There are many other scars that we cannot see, psychological scars and emotional scars.
So he beat me with a bamboo stick until I cried and cried.
For a human being to own a human being and to be able to sell it, to be able to sexually abuse it at will, to be able to beat it, is something that I can hardly comprehend. Yet it's a reality and we're confronted with it.
I was 19 years old when the raiders came. They killed my husband. I was crying and 5 gunmen came.
The only way that we can stop this kind of suffering is to free the slaves. And in order to free the slaves, we have to pay $50 per slave. And once the $50 are paid to the trader, then they are free. They're free to go home, to be with their loved ones, and we hope and pray that they will never, ever be enslaved again.
So my colleague Gunnar Vibalk and I are here not just as private people, but because we represent so many people who love and care for the Sudanese slaves and their suffering. And not only do these people pray for you every day, but they also have given money so that we can buy your freedom. And so that you are all now free to go back to your homes, to your families, to your loved ones. And we hope that from this time on, you will be able to live in peace and live in freedom. So we wish God's blessing upon all of you, and you are all free now to return to your families and to your loved ones.
Our ultimate goal is to bring about an end of slavery for all time in Sudan, and we're fully committed to that cause, and we will do everything in our power to return and to continue this work until the last slave is free.